Okay, so this is really just, I've just laid out some cards. I'm just gonna put this at the beginning of all of the videos, just to let you guys know what the June spread actually is like. So I'm just gonna walk you through that here at the beginning so that you know what the spread covers, what each of the cards is going to represent. Then after this, I'm gonna film the pre-shuffle because I've had several people actually request that. I'm not sure why, but I'm going to do that, and I'll probably just speed it up just because I can't imagine anyone wants to sit and watch however long it takes for all the cards to come out. But I will actually film that and play that as well following this, and then we'll go into the actual reading. So if you don't want to watch that, I'm gonna put some time markers up for you guys here at the beginning so that you know where things are during the actual reading itself. And with that explained, I'm going to walk you guys through the cards. So we're going to be starting here on the side. This card number 1 is going to represent the overall energy for the reading, and then we're going to work from the left across to the right. And so it's going to be card number 1, and then card number 2 will actually be the card on top. These cards here on the top, so these 4 cards here, these cards are specific to the sign. So whichever sign I'm doing in the video, the top 4 cards, so these cards here, those are going to represent the sign itself. So these 4 here on the bottom are going to represent the other person. So for example, if you are watching your own sun, moon, Venus, or rising sign video, then these top 4 cards are going to be the cards that relate to you. The bottom 4 cards would be the card related to the other person that you're thinking about, or that you maybe are involved with, or want to be involved with, or were involved with. Hopefully that makes sense. For the cross watchers who are watching, it's going to be the same thing. These top 4 cards are going to be specific to the actual person whose sign you're watching. And the bottom 4 cards are going to be related to you. You would be the other in the situation, the cross watcher. So let me explain what these cards represent. So this row here, this is going to be the sign's current energy, the other person's current energy. This is going to be the sign's underlying issue or fear, the other person's underlying issue or fear. This is going to represent the sign's obstacle, the other person's obstacle. This is going to be the sign's desired outcome, the other's desired outcome. And this card here on the end is the advice or guidance card. So that's going to be how the spread itself works for this month. I am only doing 1 reading per sign for the entire month of June. And then during the month, I'm going to do some other readings as well, some like pick a card readings, some spreads that are specific to, should I reach out? Are they going to come back? Is this person the one? I just want to do more of those readings. So I'm just going to do 1 monthly love reading for each sign for June. And that is how that's going to work. So with that explained, now I'm going to clear these cards away. And we will actually move right into the pre-shuffle. Okay, so I have just sped up the pre-shuffle and my meditation for you guys, but I am just going to talk about the cards that came out and walk you guys through that, because it was interesting, the cards that came out during the pre-shuffle compared to how the actual reading went. So the first card out during the reshuffle was the Lovers. It's a Gemini energy. It's very harmonious, divinely supported connection. Next out was the Ace of Wands in reverse. That card energetically to me felt like a new relationship or connection that was going to have some delays in front of it before it could really get off the ground. It just felt like there was something that was sort of a block in front of it. 2 cards came out together next, the Ten of Swords and the Two of Pentacles. That combo alluded that there was still an emotional or mental connection to a past painful energy. The pain and sense of betrayal around that past relationship is likely going to be getting in the way of the new connection that was represented by the Lovers card. And then the last out was the Five of Cups, which just served as confirmation to me that the pain and disappointment from the past is still lingering in the present and getting in the way of focusing on this new relationship. Okay, so with the pre-shuffle completed and the cards that came out discussed, I'm now going to actually just take the cards directly from the top of this deck that was done earlier, and we're going to lay them out into the spread that I covered at the beginning, and then we'll walk through. So I'm just going to lay these out. And again, this is the general love read for Sagittarius for June 2019. And let's dive in and see what the cards have revealed for you, Sagittarius. So again, this is going to be the overall energy for this reading. What we have coming out, we have the Knight of Cups. It is upright. Now, with this being representative of the overall energy of the reading, I'm not picking this up energetically as it being an actual person. But what I will say is that energetically, I feel like there is definitely, you know, the overall energy here feels very romantic. It feels very, how can I explain this? It's kind of like a goofy, sort of like playful romance. Like, I dig the energy that's coming off the card. It's not something that feels like gushy or cheesy, but it's something that's just very, it's playful. It's a playful, sort of flirty, seductive sort of romantic energy. So for those of you who are, you know, maybe you've met someone, you have someone in mind, the vibe between the two of you should fit that. And if not, then this is not necessarily the, you know, the reading for you. And so if this is not resonating with you, then check your moon, Venus, and rising sign readings. Those might be a little bit more in line for you this month. But for those of you who are in this sort of really playful, flirty, you know, fun sort of energy with someone, that's the overall energy for this reading. So we're now going to move on to the sign. So Sagittarius, this is the current energy of the Sag watching, or the Sag that you're checking in on. So what we have here, we have the High Priestess. It did come out reversed. So for overall energy for Sagittarius for this reading, you know, it's interesting. You know, the High Priestess, when it's reversed, it's you know, it's a sign of you know, secrets and being withdrawn, and potentially even, you know, maybe not really being engaged or speaking very much. Now, I don't necessarily get any energy off this of anything that is malicious. What I feel like in terms of like the secrets and sort of holding back, that's more what it feels like. It's holding back. I feel like potentially, you know, the current energy here is just, it feels cautious. Okay, I'm going to speak directly to the Sagittarius here. What it feels like is you're not wanting to show all of your cards right now. You're not wanting to let the other person know exactly how into them you are, exactly how you feel about them. But it's not that you don't care. You do. Sorry, I just bumped the camera there. You do care. You actually really care about this person a great deal. But I feel like, you know, maybe you got hurt in the past, or there was something that happened recently, not with this person. It's something from the past with a different person, but it has you very cautious. You're very, you're very guarded in terms of how quickly you're ready to jump into this and how much you want to reveal. Now, as we continue forward, that may or may not work to your advantage, and that's hopefully what we can get out of this, you know, is whether that's a smart strategy for you to be taking. But let's take a look at the other person and their current energy right now and see what we have there. So what the other person has in terms of their energy, they have the Three of Cups, and it's upright. You know, I feel like this person, the other person, is, they're really happy with how things go. I will say that, you know, this person is, honestly, what I feel here, Sagittarius, the other person right now is sort of trying to figure out where this can go. They aren't sure, and I think it's because of this, you know, sort of withdrawn energy, and they aren't really sure how you feel or what you think. This person is really trying to debate whether this is something romantic or whether this could be maybe just a really good friendship that has a little bit of flirtation involved with it. Energetically, I feel like that's where their mind is. They're just trying to read you, and they're trying to see how they feel about you and what's the conflict here. And we'll probably see this as we go forward, but I can already say just energetically, the conflict here is that, you know, they like you and they think that you like them, but how you are coming across, Sag, is kind of aloof, and they don't know how to read that. They aren't sure whether they should really trust and invest in this, whether they should, it's almost like I'm like having, like in my head, I'm like having the thoughts of like, I don't know, should I flirt with them? Should I mean, like, what's going on here? I can't read them. I can't tell what they think. I can't tell how they feel. And that would be really confusing for someone if, you know, I do feel like there is this really fun, flirty energy between the two of you, but because of how the Sagittarius is coming across, it's very confusing in terms of whether they actually feel something that is romantic, that could be something that could be more than friendship. And so the other person right now, their energy is just very much trying to, I guess, like, be happy that they have this interest, but they're also being cautious because they don't want to do anything to make you uncomfortable or anything to potentially put this friendship at risk. And it's like they're not going to make the first move. It doesn't feel like they're going to make the first move. They're waiting, Sag, for you to take the lead and for you to sort of show them and tell them what this is and what you want. And so it's an interesting energy in terms of the two people, because it's almost like they're having like a standoff. It's like they're both really intrigued and interested in the other person, but there's something that's blocking that. There's something that's making both of them sort of step into their own corner and not step forward fully into it and really say, hey, you know what, I really like you and I want to see where this can go. So that, you know, let's take a look at these next two cards, because this is where we're actually going to talk about, you know, what is that underlying issue or fear that's happening right now. So we'll start with you, Sag. So we have the Four of Wands. It did come out reversed. And you know, this card on its own, when it's reversed, it's not necessarily like a bad card. It can actually have some decent energy in terms of what it represents. But what I'm getting from this card is just, I feel like there's a lot of conflict, not necessarily with this other person, but I feel like there's a lot of issues that are sort of outside of this connection. So this is what I'm getting. It feels like, Sag, for you, whatever this previous relationship or previous connection was, I feel like it was something that was fairly serious. It could have potentially been something that was very long-term. It could be a marriage. Or it could just be, you know, if it wasn't necessarily long-term, it was something that just people thought that this connection was going to last. They felt that this connection was something that was real and stable. And when that ended, there were people within your group, whether that's your family or your friends or both, who, now that this new person has come in, they aren't sure. They were really invested in your past connection. So it could be that you and the ex had lots of shared friends. It could even be that like your family and their family have some sort of connection between them. But you are aware that your friends aren't necessarily open and receptive to this new person. I I don't feel like they're necessarily being like outright hostile, but I think that they've noticed that you have an interest in this person, and they know you well enough to know that how you're acting, the sort of like reserved, aloof thing that you're doing, they know you well enough to know that that's how you get when you actually like someone. If you aren't necessarily invested, and this is very much true, I think, for Sagittarius, you know, if you aren't necessarily fully invested, you're very flirty. You're very sort of like, you know, it's fun, it's laid back, there's no seriousness involved. And so when you aren't behaving that way, when you aren't being super flirty, when you're treating this person differently, and you're sort of in this energy of, you know, I'm going to hold back, I'm going to hold off, and I'm going to see, you know, what I feel here. I have to decide whether or not I trust this person enough to go for it. They know that about you. And I feel like some of them have potentially come to you and said, are you sure that you want to jump into this? Because what about whoever the person from the past is that they also had a connection to? So I feel like that's the biggest issue or fear that's happening for you, Sagittarius, is that you have people in your circle who are sort of making you think back to the past and making you think back to your last relationship and question whether it was smart or it was wise to end that, and whether you should potentially give it a second chance. I think that's the thing that's sort of getting in your way here. So let's look at what the other person's underlying fear or issue is. So for them, we have the Six of Wands, and that did come out upright. You know, so this card itself just represents, you know, it's sort of like the victory card. It's success. It's what I get energetically from this, though, like as I was saying that, it's not necessarily I feel like this person, because this card is in the spot of an issue or fear, an underlying issue or fear, I feel like this person is in where they're at in their life, where they're at in their journey, they want something that's going to be it. They're looking for the one. They are ready for a commitment. They are ready for something that is, you know, very serious, something that, you know, it's their titles. It's a committed relationship. You are, you know, boyfriend, girlfriend, however the combination, you know, that might go for you who are listening. Like, they want something that's actually the real deal. And because of how you're behaving, they aren't sure if they can have that with you. And so, like I was saying earlier when we were talking about the Three of Cups here, you know, their fear is that, you know, I don't want to invest they do not want to invest any time in anyone that isn't serious and ready to actually make something happen. They aren't interested in just sort of dating casually. They're not looking for just a hookup. They're looking to have a serious relationship. And ultimately they want that to be something that, you know, goes forward in like the progression of commitment. And they aren't sure whether they can have this with you. But I will say, there's lots of energy coming off this. This is a big deal to them. Like I just heard, I'm not going through it again. I feel like this other person, they could have potentially even had an engagement that was called off, or a marriage that ended. They could be divorced or separated at this point. And they are being very guarded about not getting into something with someone if that person is not on board and as serious as they are. So let's look at the obstacles that are in the way of sort of these fears being addressed. Okay, so we're going to start with you, Sag. This is the obstacle. We have the Eight of Swords that did come out upright. So Sag, I feel like something happened. I don't know what it was, but I feel like, you know, this past relationship that we've discussed, the one that your friends or your family are sort of still like a little bit stuck on. I feel like you weren't very clear about everything that you experienced with this person. I think from the outside, things looked very happy, things looked very stable, things looked like they were going well. But inside the relationship, it was something totally different. And I feel like, you know, you stayed inside it, you stayed in that connection longer than you probably should have. And because of that, because from the outside, things looked really great, you know, the people around you aren't aware of actually what was going on behind the scenes. And I think that for you, the obstacle of you being able to get to a point where the only way that you're going to be able to resolve this conflict that you have with your friends and family about this other person is to really be honest with them and to step out of this sort of false narrative that they have, that you presented to them about what that relationship was like. You're going to have to be able to get to a point where you can tell them, hey, you know what, guys, I know that you thought or you felt that this was something that was really amazing, but actually inside of it, there was a lot of conflict and lots of fighting and lots of pain. And you know, there's a reason why I feel like with this other person, I feel like right now the two of, not this person, but the ex from your past, I feel like there's not a lot of communication. And I think that's confusing to the people that were in your lives when the two of you were together in a relationship, because they don't understand what happened that made it go so wrong so fast. But it wasn't something that happened really quickly. It wasn't something that, you know, overnight just dissolved. That's not how this played out. This was something that just, over time, there were lots of things that just, you know, little problems turned into bigger problems, and things couldn't be resolved, and things weren't addressed. And then eventually it just got to the point where it had gotten so bad and so toxic that the two of you just had to go in your own paths and just be away from each other. And, you know, that's the main obstacle of you being able to move beyond this conflict that you have with your friends. They don't know the truth. You haven't been honest with them. And so that's what you'll have to do in order to have them look at this other person that's come in and potentially, you know, see them as their own person and stop comparing them and judging them based on this person from the past that they thought was this perfect match for you, because they had no idea what was actually going on. Now, for the other person, their obstacle in overcoming their fear. So yeah, you know, we have the King of Pentacles, and this has come out reversed. And so, you know, I feel the person that they were with before this relationship that they had, it's interesting looking at this reading though, because both of you have these very intense relationships from your past. And for this person, for the other person, or cross-watcher for you, the person that was from your past, you thought when you met them that they were the real deal, that they were going to be the person who gave you the stability that you wanted, that gave you that you know, this white picket fence sort of fantasy that you had and the thing that you actually desired. But in reality, when you actually got involved with them, you know, they were someone who, you know, they were very demanding and very sort of, you know, I feel like they prioritized work and their career over their relationship, and that was something that was consistent. It's not just that their career was important to them. They really neglected the relationship because they weren't invested in that. Where they were in their life, they wanted to focus on their career, focus on attaining things. They had, you know, a desire to have certain things. They were very materialistic. You didn't matter to them as much as the things that they wanted. And so they would continuously prioritize you below things that were related to their career. It could be that this person, just their career, whatever it was, required them to be gone a lot or required them to work long hours, and that just didn't align with the type of relationship that you wanted or that the other person wanted. But again, like, the other person wants something that feels very much like an idealized sort of romantic connection. They want to take trips together. They want to spend time together. They want to have meals together. That's the other person. That's what they want. And they didn't have this with this person. And so they have a lot of trust issues. This other person has some trust issues. And going back to this card that we talked about, you know, Sag, you seeming to be aloof and seeming to be, you know, not quite invested, that's triggering things for them. It's, you know, it's making them reflect back on this other person and say, you know, I have to be aware, I have to pay attention, I can't end up in a situation again where I invest a lot of time and energy and I open myself up to someone who ultimately doesn't care enough about me and doesn't really want to be with me and isn't, you know, on board 100%. So we're going to move into the desired outcomes, and then we'll go to the advice card. I do just want to say, before we move into sort of the desired outcome, I don't want to touch on those just yet before I say something here. Throughout these cards, I have not gotten anything that makes me feel like this connection between these two people. There's nothing that's come out that necessarily seems like a huge warning, right? There's nothing that's come out that's, you know, like necessarily a negative card saying don't go forward with this. I actually feel like the two of you do have a really fun connection, but this past pain that you've had is getting in the way of that fun connection being able to really bloom and turn into something. So I'm just going to say that the two of you need to talk openly about your past. The two of you, I think, have a fear of opening up about your last relationship and being really honest about it because you feel like the other person maybe won't understand or that they might judge it. But actually, truthfully, the two of you have a lot in common in terms of what you went through and what you experienced in your last relationships. So talking about those relationships openly and honestly will allow you to see that you can trust this person, that they are understanding, and it'll just enhance this fun, flirty energy more and more. And that's what's going to allow, you know, these obstacles to really start to fall away and not be issues anymore. So let's look, Sagittarius, your desired outcome here. We have the Three of Pentacles. It is reversed. So here's what I think from this card, just right off the top of my head. Sag, I feel like you really just want some time. I feel like if you felt like you could ask for anything, if you could just know that this person would respond to you and be understanding and they wouldn't get upset, I think you would just say, I just need some time. And maybe that's what you need to do. We'll see what the advice card comes out as for you. But, you know, I think it is understandable because you need to have some conversations with your friends and family. You need to have some time to be honest and have people understand really where you're at and what you went through. That's something you need to deal with first before you can actually engage with this person. And so I feel like that's really what you want right now, is to be able to have some space and some time to just think, it's not necessarily that you want to be totally alone, but you want to be able to just focus on you right now. And you know that there are some things that you need to heal and there are some things that you need to open up about. And I think you just need to share that with the other person. I do think that they'll be receptive. Let's see what their desired outcome is. Okay, so we have the Seven of Pentacles, also coming out reversed. So with this coming out in the space that it does in terms of their actual desired outcome, what I feel is this person just wants to know that you're in it, that this isn't something that's going to have a short shelf life, that this is something that has some long-term potential, that this is something that if they invest themselves in, if they put in the effort, that this could actually go somewhere, that this could actually be something that lasts. And they just want to hear that. They just want to know that you feel that potential the same way that they do. That's really what they're looking for. I don't feel right now that they are necessarily in a space where they are like going to demand it. It's just that they want to be able to be honest that that's what they're looking for and hear from you that it's what you're looking for as well. It's very important to them that, like I've said, that, you know, it's important to them that they feel like investing in you or investing in this relationship is going to be worth it. So that's what they want. They just want to have that conversation. They just want to have you say to them, look, I really like you and I really do think this could be something, but there's some stuff I need to take care of first. I need to be able to put some of this stuff to rest. I need to be able to be open with my friends and family because I want them to meet you without having any sort of like bias against you. And right now, they are going to have that because they don't actually understand my past relationship. They don't know what happened, and they're going to be protective of me and biased towards my ex. And I want to clear that up before I bring you in. But I do want to bring you in. I do want you to meet my friends and family. I do want to explore this with you because I do feel like we have something that's really fun. Okay? So we're going to move on to the advice and guidance card here. We have the Five of Wands that came out upright. Yeah, I just feel like this is speaking to, you know, you need to deal with all of these conflicts. You need to deal with the internal conflicts that you both have. You need to deal with, you know, some of the like, you know, especially for you, Sag, like you have to deal with your friends and family. That has to happen. It has to be dealt with. For the other person, they have to deal with this like, you know, this hurt that they have and this sort of, you know, they have this conflict between like really being in a space of like, I want something serious, but also being very, very, very cautious about getting into anything. And here's what I'll say. It's too much pressure to, at the beginning of any relationship, no matter how much of a connection you feel, no matter how magical things feel, or how much, you know, how many boxes that person checks off on your list of like your dream partner, you have to be cautious because, you know, it's a lot of pressure on a new relationship to have it, you know, necessarily, this has to be the one, this has to last for, you know, forever. That pressure is not something that I feel like is innate to this person. It's just because they did invest a lot in this other person and they feel like they lost several years. And, you know, they're just trying to be guarded and trying to protect themselves. But that conflict internally with them has to sort of, it has to, something has to have they have to have a breakthrough there. Something has to shift for them so that they can just go into this having fun, seeing what happens. Because I do feel like if you guys can get into this energy 100%, just having fun and getting to know each other and hanging out, doing things with your friends and mingling and you know, having your respective groups meet each other, I just feel like this is gonna be something super fun to explore. And I do feel like there's a lot of potential for it. But both of you have some things that you need to resolve before you can actually move into that. And I think that that's what you need to look to really in terms of, you know, advice or guidance. Do what you need to do to clear the past energy. Both of you need to clear that past energy. Anything that's, you know, something that's still lingering in the present that's related to the past that needs to be dealt with, it needs to be cleared up and addressed. And once that happens, then the two of you will be able to just enjoy each other and be able to just move into things with a little bit less uncertainty and fear. I think that's a good place to stop. I don't really feel anything else in terms of, you know, explaining anything. And I don't feel like there was anything that came out here that needs to be clarified or explored any more, you know, any more deeply than it has been. So there you go. That's the advice for June 2019. I would love to hear from you guys. Comments are like my favorite thing ever. I love reading when, you know, something's resonated or when someone just feels like, wow, that's totally what I'm going through. I love hearing that. If this did resonate with you, please take a moment just to give the video a thumbs up. That helps other people to have the video suggested to them by YouTube. So when you comment or when you give a thumbs up, that is going to help other people who need to hear this message get that message in front of them. So please take a moment just to do that. When you interact with the video in any way, that's just a way of helping other people find the video when they need to hear it. And the other thing that I just wanted to say was another huge thank you for all the support with the other videos, and to please take a moment just to subscribe to the channel as well. All of those things just help to grow the channel and help new people find the videos and to find the channel. I definitely want to make sure that, you know, that's part of the reason why I decided to do these videos, was just so that, you know, I want to be able to help people who, you know, are in a space where they're just looking for some answers. I last year went through something, and I can just tell you there were several readers on YouTube, and I really want to make a video about this. So if you guys want me to do a video just about some of the readers that I actually, you know, turned to on YouTube, I would love to do that. There were some amazing readers who just really helped me to sort through some stuff last year. And so I decided, why not just do this as well and, help to, give people a little bit of guidance or insight when they have questions. So thank you again so much. Please let me know what you thought about this video, and I look forward to hearing from you guys.